Okay, I've got 4:15. Let's go ahead and get started with the weather update on the tropics. Tropical Depression 14 has formed today out of that Caribbean disturbance. And the bottom line is the track forecast is still very uncertain, but looks like it may likely be coming toward Texas or Louisiana. So here's a satellite view of these two disturbances out there. We've got Tropical Depression 14 in the Caribbean, Tropical Depression 13 farther east over the tropical Atlantic waters. And we're going to be focused mostly on TD14 today. That has the most direct threat to Texas. TD13 is actually forecast to become a hurricane as it tracks toward Florida, and then more likely the northeast Gulf Coast states. Both of these storms will be in the Gulf of Mexico early next week, so that's fairly unusual to have two tropical cyclones in the Gulf at the same time. Here's a look at the track forecast for Tropical Depression 14 that has just been issued by the Hurricane Center. You can see the location there down to the east of Nicaragua. It is forecast to track over land over parts of the next 2 or 3 days. You can see it skirting the coast there of Central America and then the Yucatan again, and then emerging out over the Gulf of Mexico on Sunday. Right now, the Hurricane Center has it tracking up toward the Texas or Louisiana coast along about late Tuesday is the best indication right now. But one thing I want to emphasize is the uncertainty in this track is higher than average. This cone is kind of defines the typical track errors of the center, but with this storm right now, there is kind of a wider uncertainty even than the cone represents. So we're going to have to hopefully get a better handle on that the next day or so. But nonetheless, certainly the Texas coast and Louisiana coast are in play. Here's a look at the wind probabilities. This is the point probability of tropical storm force winds at any point on the map over the next 5 days. And what I want you to take away from this is fairly equal chances along the Louisiana and sort of the northern half of the Texas coast, all showing about 10% or so chance of tropical storm force winds over a fairly broad area. So that just goes to show kind of the wide range of possibilities where we can get this system to track. This plot gives you a sense of the wind timing. The arrival of tropical storm force winds most likely Monday night or Tuesday of next week. Again, the track is going to be uncertain. As always, if this storm were to ride on, let's say, the right-hand side of the cone here, we would have much less of an impact than if it were to take more of a direct track toward us or come in just down the coast from your local jurisdiction. So that's why there remains a lot to be seen as far as what the impacts will be. It's going to be very sensitive to the track of this system. Right now, it is forecast to intensify to a strong tropical storm before making landfall. And just to sum up the information that we have so far, we do have that Tropical Depression 14 forecast to slowly intensify, likely becoming a strong tropical storm before landfall. Like I said, over the next 2 or 3 days, it's going to be interacting with land, and that may limit its intensification somewhat. But when it gets over the open waters of the Gulf, that's when it could intensify a little bit. The impacts will depend on that track very sensitively to that. If it were to take more of an eastern track on the east side of the cone, then our impacts would be on the order of some elevated surf mainly. But a more direct hit with a stronger storm could mean more significant impacts as far as tides, rainfall, and winds. Right now, again, forecast to be a strong tropical storm. Certainly couldn't rule out a little stronger than that. There's always some uncertainty in the intensity and certainly in this case with the track as well. And we should have a better idea tomorrow. Once the storm does certainly make that turn, that's going to, hopefully we can start to zero in a little bit more on where that storm will track. So we definitely need to watch this Tropical Depression 14. It is a threat to bring some impacts to Texas, but that will depend really on the details of where that storm goes. Honestly, the hurricane tracking models and different numerical models have really been all over the place the last few days, as many of you have probably noticed. So